Hey everybody, welcome to the Dirty Politics edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I have Judd Weiss coming back on. I've had him on before, but right on April Fool's Day of all days, I saw a thing saying that John McAfee, past Anarchast guest, has chosen Judd Weiss as his vice president. And being April Fool's Day, I just completely ignored it, as I do everything on Facebook on that day, as almost everything seems fake, even on mainstream sites, which is crazy. And then a few days later, I saw some more about it, and I was like, is this true? And I contacted him. Judd's a good friend, and it is true. So I wanted to have him on to talk about this. And of course, all the hardcore anarchists are going to start saying, oh, we hate anyone who even gets involved in the system. I think we should get involved in everything. We should be on every platform. We should be everywhere. And in fact, in Iceland right now, they just, George Soros just released the Panama Papers to try to get rid of a lot of his enemies. And one of them was the Iceland prime minister, who was the only prime minister to jail bankers during the 2008 financial crisis and collapse, and they got rid of him through using those papers. And now the top party right now for the upcoming election in Iceland is the Pirate Party, which was started by Rick Falfing from Sweden, who's a past Anarchast guest and an anarchist, and the person who will be running for prime minister in Iceland apparently is an anarchist and has 44% approval, a bit more than every other party involved right now. So that's very interesting. I've also had on past Anarchast guests, Tim Moan, the leader of the Libertarian Party of Canada, who is a complete 100% anarcho-capitalist. I even had on the past Libertarian Party of Canada leader, Katie Chown, who's also an anarchist. So we're getting into all these areas. Now, Judd's not quite as far down the road of being an anarchist. He's definitely a philosophical anarchist, I like to call him, but he's definitely very, very close, and he's getting involved. And John McAfee, who also has been on Anarchast, who I think, from what I can tell, is pretty close to being an anarchist, if he's not an anarchist. So this is all getting involved. And John McAfee was just on nationally televised presidential debates just a week or two ago. So that's a long way of introducing this, but I wanted to sort of put that all on the table before we get started. And actually, I'm going to play a video of the John McAfee, Judd Weiss presidential election campaign commercial right now, because it's really good. So I don't know if I was in that video or not. There was about 5,000 photos all flashing. I don't know if that's some sort of mind control sort of thing Judd's doing there, but excellent video. Definitely by far, of all the political campaign videos I've ever seen, that's by far the best. Usually they're so drab and dry with Ted Cruz is a douchebag. I'm Donald Trump and I support this message. Or it's Hillary Clinton and I got crazy eyes and I like to kill people and all that kind of stuff. So that commercial is great. And I think Judd was involved or even did produce that commercial. We'll ask him all about that. So Judd, great to have you back on Anarchast, sir.
Thank you for having me back, Jeff.
Now, I hear that you've been involved in politics now for less than a week, and you're already shocked at how dirty and corrupt it is. Why don't you just tell us about your experience?
Well, I'm definitely going to say that this gives a lot of credibility to a lot of what the anarchists have been complaining about for a long time. Yeah, the inside world of politics is dirtier than I expected. And coming from a position of being on a vice presidential campaign ticket, I can see it's shocking me, and I didn't think anything could shock me. But this is what I'm doing here. I want to do something completely unconventional because me and McAfee are both thoroughly nauseated by the generic mainstream political plastic that everybody's been consuming, and we're tired of that. So what I want to do with this campaign, I promised everybody it would be entirely unconventional. It's not going to be like anything anyone's ever seen before. And nobody knew what that meant, but I think they just got a little taste of that with that video, because that's not a political campaign ad that anybody can recognize. That's not the way that you advertise your presidential campaign. I intentionally put in photos of casual drug use in that ad. I also, just the fact that it was flashing all those images and the way the whole vibe of it is million miles away from what we know as the world of politics, and that's what I want to do. This campaign is going to be extremely authentic. People are used to politicians telling people what they want to hear. They know from me that I will say more than what honesty necessitates. So this is going to be a very different campaign. People got a small taste of what's to come with that video. That video, I wanted it to drop like a bomb and I wanted it to be an incredibly aggressive video and hard-hitting and high energy to let everybody know we are not politicians. We're not going to be doing things the normal political way. That video was completely me. I set that up. I came on board and I created a new logo, and in my orders to the graphic designer, who by the way is an anarcho-capitalist, just so you know, my orders to the graphic designer was, this cannot look presidential. I want this to look nothing like a presidential campaign logo. I wanted it to be bold, edgy, sophisticated, clean, tech, futurist, modern, and just strikingly different right away, because I think that defines our campaign, especially the fact that McAfee is a very tech focused human who's been in tech world, so I wanted it to look techy, and I also wanted to define us as we're doing something different and bold.
Well, certainly John McAfee is not conventional. In fact, I'll play just a few seconds of one of my favorite videos of all time of him telling people how to uninstall McAfee antivirus software.
This is my lab tech, Bartholomew. He's going to take you through step by step the process of uninstalling the McAfee antivirus software. Well, say hello, Bartholomew. Yes, so if you need me, I'll be over here, and good luck.
The procedure for removing McAfee antivirus software from your computer is as follows. First, make sure you have a full backup.
Yes, Bartholomew, back it up. Back it up, that's right.
Yeah,
Very
John.
important, back it up.
Oh, John, you like that.
Sir, should I be reading the instructions for the Mac or PC? They're really quite different. Depending on which edition and version of McAfee's anti-malware software is installed on your computer, you may have to click on Remove, Uninstall, or a similarly named option to begin the uninstall process. When finished, reboot the system. John, are you getting this?
Yes.
So clearly not conventional at all, and that's why I like John a lot. He was one of our most popular guests we ever had on. He did it from an iPad in his bed while he was on the run from Guatemalan assassins for something they were trying to set him up with, and he had child porn on them or something. Definitely interesting. Let me ask you about that. Did you know John McAfee very well before you did this, and as well, what's your thoughts on him as a person?
Oh, I'm a huge John McAfee fan, and I'm really excited and honored to be here. This is an incredible situation for me. No, this was Chris Thrasher. Chris Thrasher is the campaign manager for John McAfee. It was his idea. And I think it was a surprisingly brilliant move. We are a great fit in a lot of ways. It originally started when I was asked if I could throw a Mixer fundraiser party at my house for John McAfee, and the conversation developed from there. And so this is still relatively new to me. I'm still just getting a handle on all of this. That was just a couple of weeks before the party. The party was on March 31st, which was one day before the California convention started on April 1st, which is why the announcement came on April 1st, and everybody thought it was an April Fool's joke. And I didn't even bother to correct anybody on April Fool's because I knew nobody was going to believe me. So I just made a post about my cat. I said that the rumors are true and all the conspiracy theories are true. This whole vice presidential thing is a plot by my cat to take over the world, and I'm just a conduit. So I might as well, there was no reason that I needed to. I just let the debate fester for one extra day because there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't confirm anything on April Fool's. It was useless. So I confirmed on April 2nd that yes, indeed, this is true. It's not an April Fool's joke. So I came on board, and I have radically different ideas about how this campaign can go. And John loves it. John's eating up my ideas, and I'm so grateful for how much trust he's given in me in this whole thing. Right now, this is a protest campaign. I'm trying to do something that my goal, this is one of the goals of mine, is that this will be a campaign that principled non-voting anarchists can feel principled about voting for. We'll see if I succeed at that.
I'd like to see that as a lawn poster sort of a thing. That'd be great.
Yeah. I want to do a campaign that principled non-voting anarchists who are disgusted with politics can feel very principled about voting for. Because basically, what we're voting for is what matters, not the act of voting. The act of voting can be an initiation of force, but if you're voting for something that isn't, then you're not initiating force. You're not violating any principles. And yes, it is demeaning that we only have these little pebbles. We can throw in pebbles, and it's demeaning. It's stupid. But if we can throw enough pebbles together, we can have a rock, and we can have a serious impact. So this is a protest campaign. We're going bold as all hell. I'm going to be breaking a lot of rules. I don't care what the rules are. I have no interest in being scripted or polished. I'm just speaking free. I'm going to just be myself. I don't know who else to be, and I have no interest in doing anything else than just to be me. McAfee is amazing at allowing me a lot of flexibility here. I'm allowed to be off message with him. That's incredible. However, I made it clear, if we're ever off message, it's only love, and it's an opportunity to learn from our differences. We're on the team together. We're on the same side. And yeah, he's giving me a tremendous amount of flexibility here. It's amazing.
Yeah, McAfee doesn't seem like a micromanager from what I can tell, and lets people go. If he chooses them, he'll let them go, and it sounds like that's what he's doing with you. Now, let me ask you about, you first have to win the Libertarian nomination, and I don't understand how any of this stuff works. I really don't want to get into all the details. I don't care. Sure. But I have noticed you did do the Libertarian debate on Fox a couple weeks ago, John McAfee, and I thought that was a really interesting moment in Libertarian history to get that kind of national recognition. It really shows that the libertarian message is growing massively, dramatically. They can't ignore it anymore. And that's why I said, even as an anarchist, I want to just keep pushing in all angles, even politics. So when in Iceland, if the prime minister becomes an anarchist, that'll be awesome. And then we can start to show how they're so much better and all these sort of things. So with the Libertarian Party ticket, I guess John McAfee is up against what's Austin Peterson or something, who seems like a goofball who doesn't believe in the NAP, which is, he's basically saying he believes in initiating violence against other people, so he's immediately a criminal. Then there's Gary Johnson. He's sort of like this sort of mainstay guy who's been around a while. I don't know a lot about him, but he sounds very conservative. He doesn't sound libertarian when I hear him talking. The only one I heard besides McAfee who sounds libertarian at all was Daryl Perry, who actually I've had on Anarchast before, and he's 100% anarcho-capitalist anarchist, and he's the only one I can tell who's 100%. John McAfee, I'm not sure on. So really, tell us about what's next, what you have to compete against, what's going to be happening in order for John to win the nominee for the Libertarian Party. Okay, well, let me make it clear that I'm not 100% anarchist. I never call myself an anarchist, but I am a guy with very, very strong anarchist leanings.
I'm a very big supporter of the community. I've gone far out of my way to be helpful. Everybody in the community knows that. So I certainly consider the community allies. I absolutely do not call myself an anarchist because I consider myself a libertarian. Anarchy, limited government, these are implementations of liberty. I want the most voluntary society possible. If that's anarchy, then I'm happy to be an anarchist. If that's not, if anarchy leads to it leads to more violations of our liberties, then I'm definitely not an anarchist, because that's certainly a possibility. So I'm agnostic on what the best implementation is. Mm-hmm. I lean towards limited government because I feel that that anarchy, that it's not just government that can violate our liberties, and there's a lot of other factors out there. But my hope is that we don't need a monopoly on police force, judicial system, and military. My hope is that we don't need that kind of fraud, waste, abuse, and corruption that results from any kind of force monopoly. But ultimately, my goal is liberty and the most voluntary society humanly possible. And whatever way that's implemented, I'm for that. So I hope that's clear. Is that palatable to anarchists?
Oh, it's completely palatable. I would say I'm the same way. I just say, as an anarchist, I've looked at everything. I've looked just at the morality. Morality of government is just wrong. I've looked at how government has always gone throughout human history. It always goes bad and it's terrible. I've looked at smaller governments versus bigger governments. The smaller is always better. So essentially, I'm saying I want to, eventually take this the whole way. However, if we start to get close, we start to get down to that 1 or 2% of government left, and then maybe we just try, right? You want to be careful. Like I don't want chaos. I don't want people to get hurt.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, no. But we just try. We just keep moving towards it as much as possible. Yeah. And I have a feeling it will by far be the best way possible. But we can't just do it overnight. People need to understand a little bit about freedom first. And in order to do that, we need to, at very least, start to whittle away these governments who become monstrosities. The U.S. government is an absolute monstrosity. Even to cut it down 10 or 20%, it would still be absolutely massive. But if we can at least start to do that, and that's why I say people getting involved in the political process, I don't have a problem with, if they can help to affect that, and it'll be mostly through communication by telling people, look, this would be better without the government involvement, and then they do that, and then we go, look at that. Okay, now let's try this one. Get rid of that, until we're almost down to almost nothing. So essentially,
we're all libertarians here. We believe liberty is a framework that we should live under. And
well, I would say, just to briefly cut you off, I would say a true libertarian is an anarchist because they are taking it as far as they can possibly go, even though there's risks. Now, other people can call themselves libertarians, the minarchists and constitutionalists and all those sort of people, but a true libertarian, if you truly believe in freedom is the ultimate goal, then I think anarchists are the true libertarians.
I'm just concerned about the possible serious loss of liberty that could result from anarchy, and that would mean that I wouldn't be. But if that is the best way, I'm all in. Now, what am I facing? There was a question you asked me. We've got Gary Johnson and Austin Peterson. I've been a Gary Johnson fan for a long time. I understand that people are on his throat lately about gay Jews baking Nazi cakes or something like that. As far as I'm concerned, Gary Johnson is basically a Milton Friedman fan who became governor. I think that that's a beautiful thing, and we should encourage more of that to continue happening. So I'm very happy that a Milton Friedman fan became governor, even if he's not the most thoroughly fluent on these things. I would like people to stop jumping on his throat about everything. I think we should foster and encourage situations like Gary Johnson as a positive development. However, we definitely have a lot of differences. And part of that is our approach. That's clear. I think I've made it very clear that I'm coming from a very different approach right away. Gary is a lovable guy, but I feel like he's not catching attention and excitement. He's coming off kind of awkward and boring. And I just don't want a repeat of 2012. We've got an opportunity right now to catch a lot of attention, and I think the most interesting president in the world kind of guy, like McAfee, is the guy that is able to command that kind of media attention and bring a lot of eyeballs to what we're doing.
Absolutely. You look at the popularity of Trump, and it's because he speaks his mind quite a bit. He's totally fascist and got crazy ideas about controlling people and fencing them in and all these sort of things. But just the fact that he kind of speaks his mind a little bit is making people go, whoa, this is not what we've ever heard from politics before. Usually it's a guy standing in front of a teleprompter reading from the people who control the U.S. government. So that is one reason why McAfee could, if he can get the Libertarian Party ticket, which is actually, I'm hoping for that. I'd like to see it. So just for the reasons that you pointed out. Well, first of all, he is the most anarchist-leaning of all the candidates that are, except for Daryl Perry, who seems like he's not really in it now, or I'm not sure of all the whole thing. And also, he's got that personality. And I saw his opening speech at the Libertarian Party thing, the 2-minute speech, which he ended right on the bell. The guy's like pretty smart. And it was a really excellent speech. And that, if more people saw that, they would get behind John McAfee, even if they are Republicans or Democrats. Well, maybe not Democrats, but Republicans for sure, if they heard him talk. So he has the ability to shake things up. So what's going to happen here? What's the next steps? Is there another debate, or is there some sort of a nomination thing? I don't know.
Yeah, there is a cool other debate that's in the works. Nothing I can say about that yet, but there's more stuff in the works there. We've got a lot more planned for our campaign. McAfee is giving me incredible free reign. He loved the video that I put together for the first one. The first one definitely focused on what I'm bringing to the table. The second one brings a lot more focus on McAfee. And this, as much as I love the first one, I mean, it glorified my photos. I love it. It glorified the scene. It made libertarians look amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, just so people, if you don't know Judd, if you didn't watch the past Anarchast, he's essentially known as sort of the libertarian paparazzi almost. He's at all the libertarian events. He does all the amazing photos. So every single one of those thousands of photos that scrolled in that ad were all taken by Judd.
Yeah, it's a small fraction of the of the bank of photos that I've got. Yeah, it's a massive pile. I've got now 25,000 Facebook profile photos out there that are mine.
Wow.
They're being used on LinkedIn. A bunch of, when I read articles online, I scroll down and I see my photos of journalists. They're all over web pages, Wikipedia, book jackets. And what makes me the most proud? Tinder. My photos are all over Tinder now. Girls are swiping right to libertarians now. That wasn't happening 10 years ago.
No, not at all.
I'm very, very proud of that. Man, I'm at these student conferences and people keep showing me their Tinder profiles and they're like so grateful. They're getting all this attention from these photos that I'm giving them. And that's critical, man. We desperately need these libertarians to have a little bit more experience in that department. So I'm very proud of that. I'm definitely not the paparazzi. I think I said this last time. 100% not the paparazzi in any way. I'm more like the nitpicky girlfriend that sees potential but wants to improve things. And I see a bunch of nerds failing in their image and their vibe. And I just made a few adjustments, and the response has been incredible. People are so grateful. It's really boosted morale in the scene in a big way. And so that video really showcased that, but also it showcased the Liberty scene, like how beautiful and amazing it is to be a part of this scene. That's what I wanted to show. My whole philosophy about photography is that the least interesting thing you can do with a camera is to document. Documenting you can do with a security camera. It's not interesting, it's boring. You might as well just hold golf clubs, because I can't imagine something more boring than holding a camera to document. I'm not doing documenting, and the way I want you to think about it is, what would you rather do? Read a bunch of documents or watch a story of legends? And that's the difference with my approach on photography. I don't document, I glorify. And I presented people in a really powerful way, and I've shown them their best self. And imagine this, people go to a movie theater, they see some of their favorite actors play characters that are inspiring heroes, and people are inspired by that. And it's a source of of inspiration to see how characters act in difficult situations and whatnot. Now, imagine if instead of going to the theater and watching an actor, if I can have somebody be inspired by an image of themselves. That's a higher level use of camera. And I don't always succeed, but that is always my goal with the camera, is to inspire them and show them in a light that they might not have even seen themselves. And I wanted to show that the movement that way, because I think we're doing something really beautiful here. I think force is a source of ugliness in the world, and we're countering that. And that's a really beautiful thing. And people don't recognize that. People think of libertarians as those assholes that want to starve the children or something terrible. But I want people to understand that the real message here that we're pushing is not all the different policy issues and technical debates, but the idea that we can have a society where we let life live, where we can just live free, and what that means. And I wanted to bring that across in a very visual way and encourage people to join the story of heroes that are laying down the foundation for the future, a future of more liberty.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what I'm
great.
trying to
Yeah, no, and you've done a great job over the years. I see it almost every event. You've done many photos of me that I've used as profile pics on Facebook and things like that. I haven't done on Tinder, I don't think, but anyway. So I don't think you fully answered the question. So what's next? How does what happens for McAfee to end up on the presidential ticket?
Well, my goal right now is to win over hearts and minds, and that I think I just dropped a big bomb yesterday, and I did a great job, and we haven't even fully started accelerating yet. But ultimately, it comes down to delegates at the convention. We need people to come out to Florida and vote for us. Otherwise, we're not the nominee. Winning hearts and minds is one way to get delegates, because delegates have hearts and minds, and we want them to support us. However, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that's just shocking me. Like the other campaigns are focused on buying plane tickets and hotel rooms for delegates. And you know what? I'm going to use that as an opportunity to allow them to pay for plane tickets and hotel rooms for people that will vote for us. Because I want to, right now, if you donate to Gary Johnson's campaign, you're buying hotel rooms. That's what you're paying for. So if you want to donate and buy somebody's hotel room to come out to Florida, click the donate button on Gary Johnson's site. That's what the money is going for. And apparently they just bought up every single available room in the hotel for at the convention, which, as far as I'm concerned, great. Let them do that. That was such a silly move, because even if there's no hotel rooms available, or even if there's plenty of hotel rooms available, it's still much cheaper to set up these Airbnb parties, which is what we're going to do. So let them waste their campaign money buying up all these hotel rooms that they're not going to be able to use all of them, just as an attempt to block us. They're not tied in with the 21st century, and they don't know that Airbnb exists and Uber exists, and we have a lot of better alternatives. And I'm honestly, frankly, surprised by some of the dirty stuff that's going on. As you know, today you were asking me right before we came on about what was happening. McAfee just posted a big status update today that under no circumstances, even if he loses a nomination, will he support Gary Johnson, which just hit like a bomb. I didn't know he was going to do that. That was not coordinated with me at all. And I'll say that I will support Gary Johnson if he's a nominee. So me and him are off message on that. Because I feel like if he's a nominee, he's still better than Hillary or Trump, and he's a libertarian in many ways, and I want that liberty message represented. However, McAfee was seriously disturbed by some of the things that their campaign's doing, and I'm gonna give Gary Johnson the benefit of the doubt and ask him to rein in some of the people on his campaign that are going for the jugular, and that are being very dirty right now. So I'm going to say I'm not going to blame Gary for that right now. McAfee is, and that's kind of the difference with us.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear how dirty it is. I've heard other things as well in the Libertarian Party because no one has a chance to win in this election. so they're going to you can take all this money, buy all these hotel rooms, maybe get the nominee, and then they're going to lose. There's just no chance. There's just no chance this year. Unless, well, actually McAfee is the only one who could potentially pull a rabbit out of a hat. Because people are looking for something different. That's why a lot of people are going towards Trump. And even on the other side, on the crazy communist side, a lot of people are going for Bernie. They know he's a lot of people probably know he's kind of nuts and super communist, but he's sort of not your typical politician guy. That's what people are looking for finally. It's taken them decades to figure this out, but thanks to the internet, people are starting to figure it out. So if McAfee came in there, and he's such a great talker, I'd like to see McAfee. I'd like to see McAfee, Trump, and Hillary or Sanders in a debate. I think McAfee would absolutely annihilate them. So who knows? But I can't see Gary Johnson doing that.
No, Gary. I think Gary has some strengths. I'm a supporter of Gary in certain ways. I'm glad that he's out there. I'm glad that he did what he did. I wish he ran for Senate, and I wish he was a senator right now. He would be a very valuable asset to the Liberty scene if he was. But yeah, right now the only conventional candidate left in the race is Hillary. And that's only because the Democrats have a serious lopsided advantage against the grassroots within the party. Otherwise, I think Bernie could be the nominee. People are sick of generic political plastic. And everybody's judging whether we are whether what we're doing is viable or not. Screw it. Fuck it. What matters is whether what we're doing connects with you. Forget about whether this connects with other people. Right? We're running a protest campaign. We're going to be specifically targeting youth. It's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and we're not going to try. So what I'm going to do is focus on moving the protest needle as far as I physically can push it, as far as my muscles have within them to move, and so that we can build on that in the future. That is our goal. And our goal, this is a publicity campaign. We're going to be doing a ton of things that move the goalposts way past what Trump's willing to do. Very, very shocking. And in an attempt to capture... Are you going to put
a wall on the border of Canada or something?
What was that?
You're going to put a border?
No, not at all.
That's great.
There's certain things, like I'm probably going to make an instructional video of how to buy antibiotics on the darknet. That's an idea I'm kicking around. There's definitely a ton of things. I have no problems breaking the law because we're going to make it clear that a lot of these laws are criminal.
Awesome.
And that we're talking about running a hashtag disobey campaign.
Awesome.
And so this is going to be unlike anybody, a political campaign anyone's ever seen. I am right now not a media figure. You can probably hear from talking to me. I'm just talking straight. I'm not polished. I don't speak in sound bites. You're way more adept at speaking on camera than I am. I'm not pretending I'm at that skill level. But I can just speak straight from the heart, and I'll be who I am. We're going to let McAfee be the front runner, the big figure. He's a much stronger media communicator than I am. I'm going to improve, but it's not something that I bring into the table. But people already see what I am bringing to the table. That video was an example of it. And the new design and image around the campaign is an example of what I'm bringing to the table.
So please let people know where they can find out more information on what you guys are doing, the McAfee-Weiss campaign 2016. Any way that people can support you, anything else people can be doing if they're interested. I think a lot of the anarchists out there should sort of try to help with these sort of things. This is getting the information out there. I understand I am an anarchist, that some people just don't want anything to do with it. That's fine. I'm totally fine. But if you feel like maybe this is a way that we can wake some people up, and look at what Ron Paul did, right? I always point to that. Ron Paul made more anarchists than pretty much anyone else alive by running for president and using that as a soapbox, as a message. And that actually, I don't think people like John McAfee and Judd Weiss would be here doing what they're doing if Ron Paul didn't do that. So you can imagine if John and Judd have some success, what will happen next? This is a progression of waking people up. So Judd, why don't you just finish up? Anything else you want to talk about? And also just let people know how they can support you.
So one of my big goals that will make me super proud is if I can get principled non-voting anarchists feeling principled about voting for this. That's one of my goals. We'll see if I succeed or not, and I want them to be really tough on me and see if we can make them feel comfortable with this. But that is absolutely one of my goals. Ron Paul was a quirky old man leading on End the Fed, and look what he did. People talk to me about potential and business opportunities all the time, but I don't give a damn about potential. I care about actual. How much of that potential can you actualize? And Ron Paul squeezed out every drop of blood of potential out of being a quirky old man leading with Ed the Fed. Absolutely fucking amazing. Hats off to him. I am so impressed at how far he went off on that. He didn't have a lot of potential. He actualized everything that he could. I don't think there was potential for that to go any further than it did. It was just absolutely incredible that what he did. I think that our potential is higher than Ron Paul. I think our potential with a character like McAfee, who's a really interesting, exciting, dynamic, well-spoken character, with me being in support and really building a really cool image and aura around this, I think our potential is higher. How much of our potential can we actualize completely depends on hustle. So we now have to hustle, and we need all the support we can get. And the crazy story about John McAfee that people don't understand is that he was once valued over $100 million. In the financial collapse, because of all the property he owned, his valuation was reduced to about $4 million. He auctioned off all of his property and went down to Belize to retire in the nice warm climate, and was doing some cool stuff out there. And there's in banana republics, there's often corrupt politicians, and they came after him for extortion money. He refused to pay. A lot of people know that story.
Faked his own death.
Yeah, he ended up, his neighbor got murdered. He ended up bolting and getting the hell out of there before it got worse, because he refused to be extorted, and he was speaking up to power. And because of that, he ended up leaving the country after he brought all of his savings down there and what he had left. He's ended up leaving the country with bags and made it back to America penniless. So within a few years, he went from $100 million to nothing. Nothing. It's insane. I've had a roller coaster ride myself. We'll talk about that another time, but not on that level. And so right now, he is not. People have some misconception that this is some guy worth hundreds of millions of dollars and he's financing this campaign. He's not. We're not working with that. We actually do need donation money. We need the help. That video was done very low budget, but it was effective. And we want to be very effective with the very little resources that we have at our disposal. We hope to be broadcasting message and ideas. Sorry about the plane. That are very that are communicating your audience's values in an important way. And there's a lot more coming up. We didn't even scratch the surface of what's coming. If you like what we're doing, we would love some support. There's a donation link on the site. We're asking for all the help we can get because we want to do amazing things. The site, I registered that whole Be a Libertarian and Let Life Live logo. Those are both my ideas. And so then I went and registered bealibertarian.com and letlifelive.com. And the campaign liked bealibertarian.com. So the new site has moved to bealibertarian.com. Very easy. Our whole campaign is not about the Libertarian Party. I actually have a lot of mixed feelings about the Libertarian Party myself and its effectiveness. And I spoke about that in the letter, about why I'm supporting McAfee. But this campaign is about the movement and about the cause of liberty. And I'm going to be focusing fully on that. And I would really appreciate any support will allow us to get us out there in a bigger way.
That's great. Well, you have my support. I don't know what they call that when they say, when a news channel says recommend this candidate, or they have a word for. I don't know. I hate politics.
Endorse.
So, endorse. Yeah, sounds weird coming from an anarchist on Anarchast, but
that makes me so happy to have anarchists like you being endorser of a political campaign. That's a huge milestone that other politicians aren't even trying for.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to do it. Sounds great. I've always liked you as a friend. I've always found all of your ideas and your thoughts and your way you talked to be totally fine. That's why I had you on Anarchast, even though you kind of like a little iffy on if you really are or not. But as you got me excited about this, I'm definitely gonna be following. So if you're also excited about it or interested, definitely follow, look into it, donate if you want, check into it and follow what they're doing. It sounds like it's going to be an interesting campaign at the very least. It'll be fun to watch. Grab your popcorn. So if you like this video, just like, subscribe, share down below. That's another way we can get this information out there to all the status slaves.
Find me on Facebook.
Oh, and find Judd Weiss on Facebook. You can find me on there too. You can follow us. You probably have 5,000 friends like me, right? Yeah, we hit the peak, but you can still follow us on there. Judd's always got great stuff on his page as well.
We have a Facebook group where we're organizing volunteers. So just come to my page and you'll see the information on that.
Great. So check it out. Like, subscribe, share to this video. And that's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
Today, I see ethics as the most important subject anyone can learn. How many of you live your life ethically? And all the hands go up. And my next question is, who can tell me what is an ethic? And I rarely find anyone who can actually answer that question.
When you come into this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show, and if you're born an American, you get a front row seat. Pretty perfect. That's when everything just blew up, and the top of my head came off, and I could see clearly again. And that was about 8 years ago when I started writing and blogging, and it's just been a thrill ever since. I mean, I probably spent 16, 18 hours a day doing what I do for 8 years straight, no breaks, and I don't need a break. This is what I love to do, you know? And it's needed. This is a very urgent situation we're in, as you know.
From Acapulco, Mexico, this is Anarchast.